The following video is taken from the archaeological writings of the Sanhedrim and Talmuds of the Jews. In this video, please note these are based on historical court documents of Pilate's report during Jesus' trial and is not in the Bible. However, Pilate confesses how scared everyone is of Jesus, even though he doesn't harm anyone, but rather cures them of their diseases, raises the dead, makes the blind to see, and curses orchards and fig trees to wither to nothing. This information can be found online in the archives of the Archko volume of the writings of the Sanhedrim and Talmuds. Have you ever pondered over the question, how is our understanding of ancient societies shaped? The answer lies within the realm of historical documents, archaeology, and translations. For instance, take the intriguing case of the Sanhedrim and Talmuds of the Jews. These are the official documents made in the courts during the era of Jesus Christ. The story of these documents starts in the 1st century AD, a time when the Jewish Sanhedrim or courts were active. These institutions were responsible for creating the Talmuds and other documents, which offer an invaluable glimpse into Jewish life and law during this pivotal period. The Sanhedrim was a council of elders acting as a supreme court and legislative body in ancient Israel. The Talmuds, on the other hand, are a central text of Rabbinic Judaism, containing the teachings and opinions of thousands of rabbis on a variety of subjects, including halakha, law, Jewish ethics, philosophy, customs, history, and many other topics. They are a record of rabbinic discussions pertaining to Jewish law, ethics, philosophy, customs, and history. The creation of these documents is a fascinating tale in itself, but their journey from there is equally enthralling. These texts were not initially accessible to the wider world. They were written in ancient languages, locked away in the confines of their geographical and cultural boundaries. The turning point came when Drs. McIntosh and Twyman of the Antiquarian Lodge in Genoa, Italy, took up the task of translating these documents. These scholars embarked on a journey to Constantinople and the Vatican in Rome, seeking out the manuscripts of the Sanhedrim and Talmuds. Their mission was to bring these documents to light, to make them accessible to the world. The translation of these texts was a mammoth task, demanding not just linguistic expertise, but also a deep understanding of the cultural and historical context of the documents. Through their painstaking efforts, the Sanhedrim and Talmuds were finally translated, and the doors to a wealth of knowledge about an ancient society were flung open. In summary, the story of the Sanhedrim and Talmuds of the Jews provides a captivating glimpse into the past. From their creation in the courts during the era of Jesus Christ, their safeguarding in Constantinople and the Vatican, to their translation by Drs. McIntosh and Twyman, these documents have traveled through time and space, carrying with them the essence of an ancient civilization. They serve as a reminder of the power of historical documents and the importance of translation in understanding our shared human history. Have you ever pondered what it would be like to witness a moment in history that would forever change the course of humanity? Walk with me through the pages of the archaeological writings of the Sanhedrin and Talmuds of the Jews, as we traverse the events that unfolded on a day etched in the annals of time. Picture the scene. A relentless rabble's cries echo through the palace, the clamor shaking the very foundations of the structure. Crucify him, they bellow, their fury a palpable force. Amidst the chaos stands one figure, the Nazarene, a beacon of calm in the storm. Attempts to shield him from the wrath of his persecutors prove futile. In a desperate bid to save his life, a proposition is made to release Jesus, to let him walk free as the scapegoat. Yet the crowd insists Jesus must be crucified. Let's delve deeper into the intricacies of the situation. According to the laws of the time, no criminal judge could pass sentence on a criminal unless they'd fasted for an entire day. The sentence required the consent of the Sanhedrim, the signature of its president, and a review of the entire proceeding on the subsequent day. Yet these norms were cast aside in the face of the crowd's fervor. Hoping to quell their rage, Jesus is ordered to be scourged. Yet this only fans the flames. Washing his hands in the presence of the crowd, the governor testifies that Jesus of Nazareth has done nothing deserving of death. Still, the crowd's thirst for his life remains unquenched. The fury of the multitude, unlike anything witnessed before, engulfs Jerusalem. It is as if all the phantoms of the infernal regions have assembled in the city. The crowd appears caught in a vortex, a living wave of howling screams and vociferations, rolling from the portals of the Praetorium to Mount Zion. As the day darkens, akin to a winter's twilight, the governor leans against a column of his basilic, alone, watching the innocent Nazarene being dragged to execution. An air of desolation and sadness surrounds him. A loud clamor from Golgotha, carried on the winds, seems to announce an agony such as was never. To summarize the key points of this event, it's clear that the clamoring crowd demanded Jesus' crucifixion, disregarding the judicial norms of the time. Despite attempts to quell their fury, their thirst for his life persisted. In the end, the governor, left alone, could only watch as the Nazarene was led to his fate. This moment in history, as narrated in the archaeological writings of the Sanhedrim and Talmuds of the Jews, offers a poignant glimpse into a time of tumult and change. It serves as a stark reminder of humanity's capacity for both mercy and cruelty, and the profound impact such events can have on the course of history. The follow is the archaeological writings of the Sanhedrim and Talmuds of the Jews. Included is Pilate's report. Vallius Paterculus, a Roman historian, was 19 years old when Jesus was born. His works have been thought to be extinct. I know of but two historians that make reference to his writings, Priscian and Tacitus, who speak of him as a descendant of an equestrian family of Campania. From what we gather from these writers, Vallius must have been a close friend of Caesar, who raised him by degrees until he became one of the great men of Rome, and for 16 years commanded the army. He returned to Rome in the year 31 and finished his work, which was called Historia Romania. He held the office of praetor when Augustus died, and while Vincius was consul. After referring to the wonderful works of Jesus, he says that although Jesus had such power, he did not use it to injure anyone, but seemed always inclined to help the poor. Vallius says the Jews were divided in their opinion of him. the poor class claiming him as their king and their deliverer from Roman authority, and that if Jesus should raise an army and give it the power, he could sweep the world in a single day. But the rich Jews hated and cursed him behind his back and called him an Egyptian necromancer, though they were as afraid of him as of death. Velleius Paterculus B. 72, found in the Vatican at Rome. Velleius says that in Judea he met a man called Jesus of Nazareth, who was one of the most remarkable characters he had ever seen, that he was more afraid of Jesus than of a whole army, for he cured all manner of diseases and raised the dead, and when he cursed the orchards or fruit trees, they withered away. To Tiberius Caesar, Emperor of Rome. Noble sovereign, greeting. The events of the last few days in my province have been of such a character that I will give the details in full as they occurred, as I should not be surprised if, in the course of time, they may change the destiny of our nation. For it seems of late that all the gods have ceased to be propitious. I am almost ready to say, cursed be the day that I succeeded Valerius Flaccus in the government of Judea. For since then my life has been one of continual uneasiness and distress. To Herod, who then reigned in Galilee, the enemies of Jesus addressed themselves to wreak their vengeance on the Nazarene. Had Herod consulted his own inclinations, he would have ordered Jesus immediately to be put to death, but though proud of his royal dignity, yet he hesitated to commit an act that might lessen his influence with the Senate, or like me was afraid of Jesus. But it would never do for a Roman officer to be scared by a Jew. Previously to this, Herod called on me at the Praetorium, and on rising to take leave, after some trifling conversation, asked me what my opinion was concerning the Nazarene. I replied that Jesus appeared to me to be one of those great philosophers that great nations sometimes produced. His doctrines were by no means sacrilegious, and that the intentions of Rome were to leave him to that freedom of speech which was justified by his actions. Herod smiled maliciously and, saluting me with ironical respect, departed. Search the news. Imagine a tapestry of ancient wisdom, a collection of rabbinical debates, laws and stories spanning over 1,000 years. This is the Talmuds, two monumental works that have shaped Jewish thought and culture for centuries. Today we will navigate through the intricate threads of these texts, unraveling their origins and significance. Our journey begins in the heart of the ancient Jewish world during the 1st century. It was a time of turmoil and transformation, where the oral traditions of the rabbis were meticulously recorded and formed the Mishnah, the first component of the Talmuds. These legalistic texts, written in Hebrew, served as a guide for Jewish life and practice. Moving forward to the 3rd century, in the academies of Babylon and Palestine, the rabbis began to expound upon the Mishnah. This process of examination and debate, recorded in Aramaic, resulted in the Gemara. The combination of the Mishnah and the Gemara forms the Talmuds. Yes, you heard right, Talmuds in the plural. This is because there are two versions. The Jerusalem Talmud, reflecting the discussions in Palestine, and the Babylonian Talmud, a more extensive and widely studied compilation. The Talmuds, however, are more than mere collections of laws. They represent a lively conversation spanning centuries, containing a wide range of topics from legal matters to ethical principles and philosophy. They are a testament to the intellectual rigor and spiritual depth of the Jewish tradition. It's fascinating to note that the Talmuds are not static texts. They have continued to evolve over time, with scholars adding commentary and interpretation. This ongoing dialogue reflects the dynamic nature of the Talmuds, a living tradition that continues to shape Jewish thought and practice. As we draw our journey to a close, recall the key points we have explored. The Talmuds, comprising the Mishnah and Gemara, are monumental works of Jewish wisdom and law. With two versions, the Jerusalem and Babylonian Talmuds, they encapsulate the vibrant intellectual and spiritual dialogue of the Jewish tradition. They are not static, but dynamic texts, continually evolving through scholarly interpretation. So, the next time you encounter the Talmuds, remember, you are not just looking at ancient texts, but a vibrant, living tradition, a tapestry of wisdom that has been woven over centuries and continues today.